We will go out, preach, prophesy. That's where the great fear will fall upon our enemies. Revelation 11 and 11. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High God, Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, entered into them. And that's via the comforter, the Holy Spirit. And they stood up on their feet. See, and us standing up on our feet is ultimately, us being raised from that dead state, us receiving the understanding of who we were, right? Which is the beginning point of us going from glory to glory all the way to the chariot, right? And as we stood up on our feet, great fear fell on them which saw them. And we're at that point right now. So what this chapter is giving you, all right, is the Israelites in a dead state. You're being ultimately judged. But the Lord having mercy on us via a remnant by sending down the Holy Spirit. You see, and the order to that started with a man by the name of Abba Bivens, right, which ultimately was at the forefront of our ministry, Elijah the prophet. And from that point, the prophets went out. And as the prophets went out, pursuant to Ezekiel the 37 chapters, the Israelites would get the understanding of who they were, and it would be an agent of water that will be poured upon the dry ground, pursuant to Ezekiel the 44th chapter. And great fear has fell on them which saw us. That's why they're trying to demonize us. And from the point of us waking up, we will go out, preach, prophesy. That's where the great fear will fall upon our enemies. And the very next verse says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither, as we're going to be beamed up into the chariots, all right, and receive the fulfillment of the new covenant, the new bodies, all right? All marriages and covenants are fulfilled in the secret chambers. Well, the chariot is that secret chamber, as it is written in the book of Isaiah, the 26th chapter, in the 20th verse. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as if it were for a little moment until the indignation be overpassed. All right, so that secret chamber is symbolizing that cloud, as it says here in Revelation 11 and 12. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. Let's get the book of Matthew, 24th chapter, in the 31st verse. It says, and he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven unto the other. And the great deliverance will be here in Babylon the Great, the valley of dry bones. All right, the spiritual Sodom and Egypt, all right, where we lay dead as a nation, detached from the understanding, where the image of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua was completely crucified and X'd out. All right, but here it is. We're back through the Holy Spirit with life that has entered into us, starting with the name of the Most High God, Yahweh, Son Yahushua. So verse 12 says, after they heard a great voice from heaven, that's that trumpet, saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. Okay, they ascended up in a cloud. So our enemies saw us raise up from the dead state, receiving the Holy Spirit. All right, because through the Holy Spirit of promise, we understand who we are, the name of our power, the name of his only begotten Son, our mission through the unsealing of the book. All right, through the Holy Spirit, we get to go into the volume of the book and now have understanding of what's written in the Bible and go out and proclaim it. And through that, a remnant will be gathered, but this world will be condemned. So they're going to see us raised from that dead state, and they're going to also watch us get beamed up and to receive fulfillment of life, to go into those secret chambers and receive the fulfillment of the second covenant, where our Lord, the Most High God, Yahweh, through Yahushua, will fully dwell in us as a bride. And at the same hour, there was an earthquake, and a tenth part of the city fell. And in the earthquake were slain 7,000 men, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the God of heaven. Right? We're going to be like, wow. So when we get beamed up, it's going to be synonymous with a great earthquake, which is destruction of Babylon the Great. You see, and when you get Revelation, the 19th chapter, after the great whore is judged, Revelation 19 and 1, and after these things I heard a great voice of much people in heaven saying, hallelujah, salvation and glory and honor and power unto the Lord, all right, the Most High God, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. For true and righteous are his judgments. For he hath judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth. With her fornication he hath avenged the blood of his servants at her hand. And again they say, Hallelujah, and her smoke rose up forever and ever. When you jump to verse 7, it says, Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor unto him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. So when we get beamed up into those chariots, as Paul said, I've espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. And the elect will be presented because they will be covered under that blood.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakapadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and this sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake of believers, the listeners who may have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Shema Shai. All right. And what I want to get into today, this edition of Morning News and Prophecy, all right, is going into welcome, all right, to New America, man. All right, because America for the longest time, has been, the scriptures describe it, the careless city. America, has been used to abundance, a nonstop party. Okay, America has gotten to enjoy, the privileges of having, the world reserve currency is their currency, which allotted, a lot of spending power. Okay, and these things have been gradually broken down, and now it's getting to the point, okay, to where, America, all right, used to be the place, thriving, okay, that you could, come up, you know, and even if you don't get rich, you can get to a position to where, you can thrive. You can have a little, disposable income. Okay. You can travel a little bit. You can live a little bit. Okay. But now, all right, what we're seeing, okay, is America go from abundance to survival mode, and Esau Edom, he's intentionally putting the squeeze, okay, on society because he wants a desperate society. Okay, he wants a society that's desperate for change. He wants a society that blames this old system. Okay, so he can present a new system as a solution. Okay, so what we're seeing, from up top and ultimately is from Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. Esau is just the tool of choice being used by the Most High. Okay, to punish, okay, this society, man. Okay, so things, all right, are intentionally, okay, becoming dire, all right, as this devil is attempting to transition to, all right, his new world order. Now, let's get a few precepts, and I got a few videos, okay, I want to get into, all right. Um, let's go here to the book of Isaiah, the 19th chapter, all right, and now when you get, toward the middle of this chapter, in verse 6, all right, I'm reading the AMP, Isaiah 19 and 6. So let's go here. This book of Isaiah chapter 19 and 6. It said the canals will become foul smelling. Okay. The streams of Egypt will thin out and dry up. Okay. Isaiah, you can equate this because this is speaking from a aspect of what you call an agrarian society. Okay. When the economy, okay, is based basically on agriculture. Okay, that's why when the Lord was plaguing Egypt, okay, before we were delivered, okay, it was like he was destroying their economy. All right, the scriptures say he's gonna plague Egypt with plagues as before. You know, if a brother want to get that in the book of Second Ezra 15, I believe like around 11 to 12. Okay, but you know what the Lord was doing with the river, you know, with the livestock, the hailstorms, okay, destroying crops, okay, because in the, what you call an agrarian culture, a culture that's its economy, its prosperity is based on agriculture. Okay, well, your harvest, you know, representing your prosperity. You see, and you need a water supply for the harvest. All right, which Egypt, you know, was a naturally dry place. You know, that's why they worshiped the Nile. You know, in those floods, they needed those floods, you know, to water. Okay, their their vegetation. You know, so those floods didn't come. Okay, it was gonna be a problem. All right, in America, they're used to, you know, that flood. You know, those streams of income. Okay, 'cause I remember, you know, some of you brothers, you know, a few of you sisters making a test. All right, the days of, you know, just being able to go get a job. You know, you could just wake up out of the bed and you know you go get a job before you come back home. You know, go get you two jobs. You know, in one day. You see, but what's happening? This thing is thinning out. You know, the job market is shrinking. Okay, you know, the jobs, the positions are shrinking because once AI take these jobs, their job, their demand doesn't come back. You see, it's one thing of people being laid off because of you know, companies just making cuts. Okay, but guess what? Those jobs are still there. Just the revenue went down. You know, the profit went down. The business went down. But you will still have potential business pick up where those jobs will be back there. You know, those jobs will be available for people to get. You know, once business will pick up. Okay. But if AI replaces a job, well, their job is gone permanently. Ain't no coming back for their job. So you got a shrinking job market, okay, and the saturated, all right, employees. People looking for jobs, and the job market is the ratio will just keep growing out of proportion. So where you have all these people looking for jobs and don't exist anymore, man. Okay, because the job market is what thinning out. Okay, and it says the canals will become foul smelling, the streams of Egypt will thin out and dry up, the reeds and the rushes will rot away, the meadows by the Nile, by the edge of the Nile, and all the sown fields of the Nile will become dry, be blown away and be no more. The fishermen will lament, cry out in grief, and all those who cast hook into the Nile will mourn, and those who spread nets upon the waters will languish. You know, the working class, man. You see, because you know, as the job market is shrinking and people have less disposable income, okay, because there's certain industries that only exist, okay, as you know, in the entertainment sector. That's why you see restaurants, hotels, and all these things are going down. Traveling, okay, all these things are going down, okay, because the working class is the driving force behind the economy, and the working class is shrinking, and then the spending power of the dollar is shrinking. Okay, so what we're witnessing, the fishermen the fishermen, all right, or you could equate that to the working class, will lament and cry out in grief. Okay, and we're seeing that more and more. Okay, you can always go find a new compilation every day of people complaining about the job market, bills, the cost of living. Okay, in which you know I have some videos dealing with that, but just to show you, all right, this is the new norm now. Okay, ain't no bounce back. Okay, there's so much damage has been done, ain't no bouncing back. Okay, these devils have sabotaged the economy to a point of no return because Esau has to go with his play. He can't keep dragging his feet, Peter Pan with the old system. Okay, it's time for something else. All right, it says moreover, those who make linen from comb flax and those who weave white cloth would be ashamed. Yes, your own business, people with their own businesses, and it's hell because these tariffs destroy small businessmen, people that depend on shipping things in, because these small businesses don't have these huge profit margins like these major corporations. So the cost of shipping, it impacts their profit margin in a whole different way. If certain tariffs interfere with what they need to be shipped in. So small businesses are being destroyed. And this has been going on since 2020. Okay, because in the New World Order, there will only be a few corporations allowed to do business. Everyone else will be subjugated to, digital credits and permission, a system of permission. Okay, Isaiah 19:10 said, "Those who are the pillars and foundation of Egypt will be crushed." Okay, which is the working class, the middle class. Okay, and all those who work for wages will be grieved in soul. And this is what we're seeing. This is happening, man. All right, it's showing you that everything is subjugated to prophecy, man. Okay, those who work for wages are crying out. Okay, so let's get this first video I want to get. All right, cue this up and get the precepts the brothers got. Let's go here. And it's to the point to where people just they tapped out. This economy tapping them out. All right, so there's nothing that they can do. Okay, mathematically, there's nothing they can do. Okay, so let's play this. Just to show you that this is the new America, man. Okay, and it's only going to get worse. This is the beginning of sorrows. Okay, as the scriptures say. Let's get this. This is the brother, the hopeful, Leg 144, and it says, Second Ezra 15:12. It says, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. Okay, so Egypt is getting ready to mourn. Egypt is mourning. Okay, because the Lord is getting ready to plague this place, man, with poverty, with scarcity. Okay, with violence, with pestilence. Okay, these are the things that the Lord is getting ready to do. Okay, this is what He's doing. This is what's happening in real time. This is a plague. All right, people to be impoverished, that's a plague. Okay, so we're going to continue to see these things increase, as the scriptures say. So let's play this.
People are actually refusing to pay their debts. They're not paying their credit cards. They're not paying their car payments, not paying their mortgages. Some aren't even paying their rent and utility payments. This is actually turning into a bigger issue, but you are not alone if you are one of these people. Today, I'm going to show you a handful of people that aren't paying their bills, have other plans instead, and are using their money for things like Christmas or for just pure savings. So I'm going to break all this down, explain what is going on, and how you are definitely not alone. Just look at this.
So here's why I am not paying back any debt I owe. Student loans, phone bills, credit cards, any of that yada, 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 collections. I'm going to teach you some financial responsibility, debt collectors. You shouldn't give me the money. You shouldn't give me the phones. You shouldn't give me the credit cards. This is a lesson for you. So
it was a lesson to the credit card companies that this guy is just not going to pay back anything to teach them a lesson, that they shouldn't have given him a credit card. They shouldn't have given him a car loan or student loans. He's just not going to pay anything back. Here's the problem with this. This is going to affect this person's credit. For most people, for the majority of people here,
that nigga gonna be homeless. Okay. Yeah, his credit gonna be affected. That nigga gonna be homeless. You see? And this is a generation that's so out of touch. Okay. That they really believe that, by them just refusing to pay things, it's gonna be okay. Nah, man. All right, you finna have to get out of there. Okay, and if you don't pay the phone bill, they're gonna cut it off. Okay, so just because you fed up, okay, you tapped out. All right, and no, they gonna teach that nigga a lesson. But this is the mindset of the people, man. So showing you that people are on edge, man. Okay, that's why you got a society that's just gonna be ready to click out. Okay. Let's play this, man.
in the United States, you need credit to buy things. You need credit to buy a car. You need credit to buy a house. For many people, you need credit to open up a line of credit to buy something like a wedding ring. Or you need credit.
And see, people are tired of playing this goddamn game. Because going back, remember, China got their social credit score. Okay. Their social credit score system from America's credit score system. Okay, because they're seeing how the credit score system modified behavior. Because you see from his perspective, that's the worst thing you can do is have bad credit. Like your life ends, with bad credit. Now, of course, be wise in this society, it's still up and going. So if you can maintain some credit, there's nothing wrong with it. Okay. But then what people go into debt for is crazy. Like he just said, a wedding ring. Okay, why would you go into debt for a wedding ring? Super stupid. Okay, but that's the type of mind that people have. All right, that they're just so, locked into this game of having good credit. That they put themselves in a terrible predicament, man. Okay, so you have people that don't care about no credit score no more, man. They people are reaching their point. Okay, it's not going to take much to get these people to click out because they are already being worn down. All right, this economy is squeezing people, okay, into into a upheaval, man. You see,
Just to show that you are a reputable tenant and that you will pay back or pay on time every single month. Some people, they don't care. And it's going to turn into a problem later on. One person. Here's another person that's not going to pay back their debts. Listen to this.
No, because I literally will answer the calls and they'll be like, yeah, we're trying to collect payment. Be like, yeah, me too. I'll tell them straight up, like, I'm looking to file bankruptcy. I got no money for you. Well, we can do like $50 a week. You can. I can't. Fuck. It has to be an agreement. And sure, we can make this arrangement, but every time you go to pull $50 out my debit card, it ain't gonna be there. Because I get paid, I pay my bills, and I'm broke. Like that.
Yeah. For most of Americans, we are living paycheck to paycheck. We can't get by with not receiving our full paycheck. If our utility bill is a little bit high because, let's say, it was extremely cold for the past month, for some people, they can't pay it. And I'm telling you this, you're not alone. And here's the thing. There are programs out there. The U.S. government has one as well. It's called LIHEAP, but there's also some for lower income households in certain communities as well, where you can actually go and get some type of assistance to help pay for your utility bills, like your heat and your electricity. So if you haven't done that and you need it, maybe you go and do it. Then look at this one.
I'm not paying my bills this month. But before y'all come for me, I have a valid reason. So as y'all know, I have $10,100 in available credit. I don't know what the hell me, my husband, and these kids been doing with these credit cards, but we don't spend $1,500. I always tell y'all that my first priority.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is based
Is my credit card. Within the last few days, we've been working on paying that credit card debt out. I don't really consider it credit card debt because whatever I use, I try to pay it out within the next week or next 2 weeks. And with my bills, I pay about $1,500 every month, in which my car note is $538 and my insurance is $215. The rest of it is bills. I pay $100 a month into my Roth IRA. I pay $48 into my self account, and our life insurance is $45. So all of that is about $1,500. Now I'm gonna pay my car note and my insurance, but when I say I'm not paying any bills this month, I'm not paying my utilities. Y'all know y'all can be at least a month behind on those. But
Here's the problem. She says she's not paying her utilities. Why? Because as you all know, like she said, and I'm not telling you this, but you can be a month behind on your utilities and they won't cut you off. It looks like she's sitting in the dark. But here's the thing. Okay, I want to be very clear on this. If you're behind on any payment, they can charge additional fees for late payments. And I talked about this about a week or so ago, and I said that you have to be careful because there's many people out there that will go and charge something on a credit card, knowing, or even using their debit card as a credit card, knowing there's no money on it. And somebody put in, and I talked about this, or maybe it was earlier this week, and I said that this person was charging $10 in gas. Okay, they didn't have any gas, but they only had like $1 to their name in their bank account. They charged $10 in gas, which meant they needed to make sure there's at least $10 in their bank account before it got pulled the next day. If it didn't, they're likely going to get hit with a late or an actually overcharge. And the overcharge is going to be anywhere from $25 to $40. So that right there is going to completely blow up any person's account. Now, I want to show you a few other things. This person's saying to stop making payments, to pay minimums, okay, to save the money. Listen to this right here.
See, everybody's trying to figure it out, trying to figure out a strategy to survive. Everybody in survival mode, man. Okay? Everybody just ready to crash out. You know, damn them bills. You know, I ain't gonna pay no bills this month. Okay? And the scriptures say we are subject to payments. You see how this gonna work? You know, you put yourself a month behind, so now you're in the hole. So guess what? Now they know you got to go labor. You have no choice but to work overtime. You have no choice but to go get 2 jobs. You have no choice, okay, but to dedicate yourself more and more to the system because now you're behind the 8 ball. And that's how this system is designed, you know, for you to stay in debt and you only exist to pay off debt. You see, and people are realizing, like, damn, I'm only existing to pay debt. You know, and that's part of the hell, okay, of this society, man. Okay, and at the end of the day, all right, you can't just say I ain't gonna pay the bills this month. How is that finna work out, man? Okay. So people are just, you know, crashing out, you know, tapping out, you know, just, you know, just they reaching their point, man. Everybody reaching their tipping point, man. Okay, expect homelessness to be on the rise, which this next video I got, okay, is gonna go into that, okay, dealing with the homelessness, man, that's on the rise. Okay. This is the new America, man, where people are just, you know, they just stop paying everything. You know, people, I ain't paying nothing. I'm done. You see? So let's play a little bit of this and then we'll segue to the other video.
Here.
If you've been aggressively paying off debt, I need you to pause that real quick. I need you to do this instead. Whatever extra money you've been putting towards your debt, because I need you to continue to pay the minimum payment, I need you to start saving. Whatever extra money you've been putting towards your debt, your credit cards, your personal loans, your car note, I need you to put that money into your savings account. And here's why. The debt ain't going nowhere, so you need cash on hand. Okay.
You own crypto, but do you really own it? For many users, your tokens sit in some company's account.
So what she just said, the debt isn't going anywhere. What you need is cash on hand. This is for, and she's specifically talking about, an emergency fund to ensure that you have money there to use it in case you need it for anything. Okay, so when I only played that.
So, you usually have these different people. I think it's one more. Let's see what this guy talking about.
Fear of debt. Treat it like it doesn't exist. I'm telling you right now, do not pay. What can they do? Okay, so after you graduate from your university, like 6 months to a year later, you start getting all the bills from Sally Mae and you got to get on a payment plan. Do not pay. What can they do? You're going to get letters in the mail, right? And then you're going to start getting phone calls, block them. One more person to block, just hang up. These bills that come in the mail, it's just paper. It's just paper. I promise you, do not pay. I'm going to tell you.
Don't let.
We just had a repo this car from a customer. They didn't make their first payment. Bank issued a buyback, so we had to buy this car back. We repoed last night, but luckily we were able to recover it. And let me show you guys the car and tell you a little bit.
So yeah, luckily they were able.
Yeah. So basically, man, the people, and then it shows you the state of the economy. All right, the fact that people are trying to figure out, these strategies. Everybody's in survival mode. Okay, the era of partying, kicking it. Nah, man, people are trying to strategize every dollar to survive month to month. And we all feeling the squeeze. We're not immune to it. Okay, but see, these people, all their hope is in this place. You see, and we're appreciative of our daily bread. Okay, and these people are entitled. Okay, so what we're seeing now, all right, is people are trying to strategize, okay, how to make it. Survival mode. This is the new America, is survival. Okay, all that flexing and stunting, and the nightlife, is suffering. People ain't going out to kick it. Okay, all these things are everything is going to a new normal, and survival is becoming the new normal in America, man. Okay, so let's get a couple of the comment board. Now I got another video to go into that. Let's get that in the book of Isaiah 24:10. This brother Zakban Yahweh. It said the city of confusion is broken down. Okay, every house is shut up that no man may come in. Okay, so what we're seeing is this place being dismantled, man. The economy is being dismantled. Okay, the fact that people are at this point to where, they're trying to strategize and they just not paying nothing this month. The fact that that's a strategy, I'm not paying no bills this month. Okay, shows you where the economy is at. And these are people with two incomes. Okay, 2-3 incomes, man. Showing you that this economy is drying up. Okay? And this economy is living is becoming unaffordable in America, man. Okay? And that's why, the Spirit has been having us living simple lives, man. That's another thing too, man. People, waste a lot of money in this society. This society, teaches you to be wasteful, a consumer. Okay. So America, that people enjoyed in the early 2000s and 90s. Okay, that's gone. Okay, that abundance is out of there. Okay, now it's dollar for dollar. Okay, and it's and the stretch gonna continue. Esau gonna apply more pressure going into 2026. Okay, so this is the book of Isaiah 24:11 said there's a cry for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. All right, the mirth of the land is gone. Okay, and then mirth, okay, is constantly evaporating. Okay, the spirit of mirth. Okay, these holidays have lost, their savor. You see, people can't even afford the holidays, man. But that's beautiful. All praise Yahweh Shema Shah, man. The Lord is destroying, okay, this wicked culture, this wicked society, man. It's beginning to suffer. You see, and this is all the punishment of Yahweh Shema Shah, okay, that we're seeing happening, okay, real time. Okay, so let's go from there. I want to get this video here. And it just shows you that, your government don't give a damn. Okay. So let's go here. And this is mainly on the West Coast. Okay. But so what you have is just an increase in RV living. Okay. You see, America's getting to the point to where you can't even, let's say, afford a basic life, man. So let's play this.
Effort to build a better Bay Area. Tonight, we're looking at a mile-long stretch of road in Marin County that has come in many ways to symbolize the Bay Area's growing housing crisis. This crisis only worsened through the pandemic. RV after RV, car after car, parked here because people have nowhere else to go.
Denver man says the RVs parked in his neighborhood are parked there illegally, blocking traffic and forcing pedestrians out onto a busy road.
Well, he reached out to contact Denver 7 after he said complaints to the city went nowhere. And as Liz already shows us, he's worried someone could get hurt.
Across the country, the middle class is falling straight into RV parks, Walmart lots, and highway shoulders. Engineers, nurses, teachers, analysts pushed out of housing overnight. Nearly 750,000 jobs erased and rents exploding so fast that even two-income households can't keep up. RV living isn't a choice anymore. It's survival. Idaho experienced the nation's most violent housing collapse in recent memory. When remote workers abandoned California and Washington between 2020 and 2022, they flooded into Boise carrying massive equity from home sales worth $800,000 to $1.2 million. These newcomers purchased Idaho properties for $350,000 to $450,000, congratulating themselves on smart financial moves while unknowingly demolishing local affordability. The destruction happened fast. Median home prices in Boise jumped 89% in 4 years. Monthly rent for two-bedroom units doubled from $1,100 to $2,100. Idaho residents, including teachers, truck drivers, medical assistants, and state workers, watched wages crawl upward at just 3% annually, while out-of-state buyers earning $160,000 salaries priced them out of neighborhoods they'd lived in for generations. Then tech companies reversed remote work policies, demanding employees return to California offices. Newly relocated workers discovered they were stranded, jobless, and facing impossible rents after selling everything to move. RVs became their only option. Idaho maintains fewer than 15 year-round RV parks across the entire state. Winter temperatures plunge below zero in most cities. Residents living in travel trailers burn through $300 to $500 monthly in propane costs, and standard RVs simply weren't engineered for Rocky Mountain winters. Pipes explode, water tanks shatter, roofs cave under snow weight. Idaho delivers a brutal lesson. Any state can transform from affordable paradise to survival nightmare in under 4 years. Oregon's crisis reveals the gap between progressive messaging and aggressive enforcement. Portland rents climbed 54% after 2020. The city shed 15,000 jobs spanning tech, retail, and manufacturing sectors. Rather than creating accommodation for RV residents, Portland passed one of America's harshest anti-RV ordinances, a 12-hour parking limit on public streets. After 13 hours, citations start. 3 citations trigger automatic towing. The city deployed specialized enforcement teams whose sole purpose is tracking down and removing RV dwellers. Portland simultaneously offers 0 safe parking facilities, no designated RV zones, and no practical alternatives. Tens of thousands endure perpetual displacement. Ben presents an even grimmer situation. Service industry workers earn $15 to $18 hourly, while average rent hits $2,100 for one-bedroom units. Workers survive in RVs parked outside city limits, frequently in forest areas. But the Forest Service now aggressively enforces removal. Seasonal employees sustaining Ben's tourism industry have no housing options beyond RVs they're constantly forced to relocate. Eugene attempted designated RV parking zones as an experiment. The program collapsed within 6 months due to absent bathrooms, security, waste management, and support infrastructure. Oregon perfectly illustrates how rapidly a state can criminalize homelessness without constructing any structural solutions. The enforcement machinery runs efficiently while housing alternatives remain non-existent. Progressive politics meet regressive policies, leaving thousands caught in permanent transit with nowhere legal to stop. California houses America's largest RV homeless population, exceeding 150,000 people living in RVs, vans, and motorhomes statewide. This phenomenon isn't lifestyle branding. It's mass economic displacement. The Bay Area alone eliminated 73,000 tech positions from 2023 to 2024. Middle managers previously earning $180,000 to $220,000 found themselves collecting unemployment capped at $450 weekly. Rents remained virtually unchanged. San Francisco still demands $3,400 monthly for one-bedroom units, Mountain View $3,200, Oakland $2,600. Savings disappear rapidly when rent exceeds income. Many residents, particularly those with school-age children or partners maintaining local employment, remain in the region, purchasing older RVs and parking along city streets. California's response emphasizes enforcement almost exclusively. San Francisco invested $41 million clearing encampments and towing vehicles in 2024, sufficient funding to house thousands. Instead,
they invested $41 million to clearing out RV campers. They invested $41 million to clear out when they could have put things together to create affordable housing. Well, this is a terrible government, man. You know, and we could treat as the spirit on us, you know, to critique this devil, okay, and his rulership, man. This is a terrible rulership, man. You know, and these people, all right, they have trusted in this are suffering. Okay, Egypt shall be your confusion. You see, you had those people that sell everything. You know, they were working from home. You know, they were like, well, if I can work from home, I can work from anywhere. So they sold, all right, those houses in California, got all their equity, you know, moved to a lower, okay, housing market. But since they was buying those houses cash, okay, they began to make housing unaffordable for the locals, you know, that lived there. Okay, and then those people that moved and sold everything and moved, they got called back to work. Okay, well now you stay in Idaho. Okay, you damn sure can't afford, all right, to get another house, okay, in California. You see? So it's just bad news after bad news for these people in this society, man, that are trying to figure it out. This society is at war with you, man. It's working against you at every turn. This economy is at war. The government is at war. Okay, and they'd rather spend money to clear your ass out. Okay, because 41 million, they could have built, all right, some permanent, okay, parking for RVs. Now, look, okay, y'all doing the RV thing. Well, let's build some permanent parking for RVs. They could have charged a little fee. They could have had adequate electricity. Okay, they could have built, you know, some makeshift, okay, roofs, you know, to shield from, you know, particular elements. There's a lot they could have did with their 41 million. Okay, and they could have got it back, you know, from people, you know, paying a fee to stay on those lots, man. Okay, but this is a wicked kingdom. Okay, it's being ruled by what? A cruel Lord, as the scriptures say. Okay, so let's play some more. It was saying, well,
resources went toward making homelessness invisible. Los Angeles operates safe parking programs, offering only 300 total spaces for a city containing 45,000 vehicle dwellers. That represents under 1% coverage. Throughout the Central Valley, agricultural layoffs and drought-driven farm shutdowns push low-income workers into RVs stationed behind factories, orchards, and truck stops. California proves a harsh reality. When America's wealthiest state cannot maintain middle-class housing, the remaining states will inevitably follow the same trajectory. The crisis moves from exception to template. Washington's crisis represents the inevitable outcome of tech expansion outpacing infrastructure by a full decade. Seattle absorbed 190,000 new residents from 2015 to 2023 while constructing only 42,000 housing units. Rents exploded. One-bedroom apartments previously costing $1,600 now average $2,800. Then historic layoffs arrived. Amazon eliminated 27,000 positions. Microsoft cut 10,000. And Google, Meta, plus numerous startups dismantled entire departments. Thousands of six-figure earners suddenly confronted rents they could no longer sustain. Severance packages purchased time, nothing beyond that. RV living surged throughout the East Side Tech Corridor. Streets in Bellevue, Redmond, and Kirkland now display rows of Class C motorhomes owned by former tech employees who previously worked in offices mere blocks away. These cities selected enforcement over solutions. A 72-hour rule mandates constant relocation. Violations bring citations, followed by towing. Spokane experiences the hidden version of this crisis. Rent jumped 41%, wages only 8%. Winters reach 0 degrees. Summers exceed 100 degrees. Maintaining survivable temperatures in an RV costs $500 to $600 monthly, combining propane and generator fuel. Rain becomes Washington's silent destroyer. RV roofs weren't designed for 150-plus rainy days annually, causing rot, mold, and rapid structural failure. Repairs often cost thousands, exceeding what most displaced workers possess. Washington exposes boomtown fragility. When the economic engine stops, there's nothing underneath supporting it. Colorado's RV homelessness stems from extreme altitude conditions, tourism-dependent economics, and defense sector contraction. Denver maintains over 4,000 people living in vehicles, regularly displaced by the city's rigid 72-hour parking ordinance. The harshest crisis exists in mountain communities. Vail, Aspen, Breckenridge, and Telluride show median home prices exceeding $2 million. Even studio apartments rent for $2,800. Workers staffing ski lifts, restaurants, and hotels earn $15 to $22 hourly, making traditional housing mathematically impossible. They shift to RVs, even facing temperatures dropping below negative 20 degrees at 9,000-foot elevations. Winter survival means burning through propane tanks every 48 hours. That's $300 to $400 monthly, exclusively for preventing frozen pipes. Even with constant heat, water tanks crack, roofs collapse under snow weight, and inadequate RV insulation fails repeatedly. Colorado Springs confronts its own crisis. Defense contractors, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, L3 Harris, cut engineering and technician positions after 2024 budget reductions. Workers earning $70,000 to $90,000 suddenly faced rents approaching $1,900 for one-bedroom units. Many purchased RVs to avoid eviction. Meanwhile, national forests implemented new restrictions, only 14 days of camping monthly across entire regions. This effectively eliminates free long-term parking options. Colorado demonstrates what happens when essential workers sustain tourist economies, while being pushed into freezing RVs the moment wages fall short of survival thresholds. Nevada's crisis launched when Las Vegas shut down in 2020 and 100.
Yeah, man. So he keeps going through it, but just to get a glimpse of the reality that Americans are facing, man. You know, because he continues on. But I'll put the link here if you want to watch the rest of it. You know, yeah, man. So this, you this carefree lifestyle that Americans used to have, okay, disappearing. Welcome to New America, man. RV living. All right, in these same places to where here it is, you had this tech job at Google, you making 6 figures, you in Seattle, okay? You're in the city, okay? Steady income, all right? And then you get cut. Then you get a service package and you buy an RV, okay? And now you got all these laws, okay, to where you only can park for this amount of time and this, and they got to move around, okay? But last month, okay, you was getting $4,000 or $5,000 checks a week, okay? But now you don't know where you're going to park next. So these things are happening quick. You see? But this is the new America, man, and this is all being intentionally done. Okay, and what is Trump talking about? Trump talking about this RV situation? No, he's talking about AI, Mission Genesis. Okay, he telling the states, look, stop regulating. Y'all not gonna be able to regulate AI. That's what Trump is talking about. Okay, is he talking about the RV crisis? Okay, he's a real estate man, right? Wouldn't he have a solution to what's going on when it comes to housing? Okay, they don't give a damn. Okay, never have, never will. Now let's segue here. Okay, because remember, you people that trusted in Egypt, now you're confused, man. Okay, you dedicate your life to a career, and that career end like that, and you just out there. Okay, you see, America was the biggest sham to ever exist, man. That American dream, all right, is a nightmare. See, the American nightmare is the new norm now. Okay, so let's segue from that. I got another video, because now not only poverty but violence, all right, is going to be on the uptick. Okay, it's going to get extremely violent out here. Okay, so let's play this. It's from the brother, the Hopeful Elect 3. All right, evils and more evils. Okay, so let's get ready to yeah, we'll play this.
Providence officials confirming just moments ago that a person of interest is in custody this morning after the deadly shooting at Brown University. Sources tell ABC News that the suspected shooter was caught based on a tip to law enforcement. But of course, there are still so many questions this morning about this very active investigation in the moments leading up to the shooting. We just heard from Rhode Island's governor, Providence's mayor, university officials, along with local and federal investigators during an early morning news conference. Also new this morning, Brown University has lifted the shelter-in-place order for all of campus that was active for 12 hours. Though university officials say parts of campus are still considered active crime scenes. Investigators say the first shots were fired just after 4 p.m. Saturday inside a first-floor classroom in the engineering and physics building during a second round of final exams. Cameras captured who authorities say was a person of interest, wearing dark clothing, leaving the site of the deadly shooting moments after shots were fired. Brown's president also confirming that all of the victims are students. 2 are dead, 9 others are injured. Brown University's president opening up this morning about the tough road ahead.
Everybody is reeling, and we have a lot of recovery ahead of us. So my main goal in the coming days and weeks and months, it will take a long time, is to bring people back together and help them feel safe and secure on campus.
Rhode Island's governor says he has spoken with President Donald Trump and FBI Director Kash Patel. The president telling reporters that, quote, all we can do right now is pray for the victims. Now, of course, Rob and Samantha,
we have to remember, these mass shootings, whether they're staged or authentic, all right, that these devils are going to use this, for what? Digital ID. Okay, and push that they need more surveillance to prevent these things. All right, technology and AI is going to be the solution. As you say, they talk to Trump and Patel, all right, the leader of the FBI. All right, and you best believe technology is going to be, okay, a solution for these mass shootings. Okay, whether they're authentic, okay, or whether they're psyops. What's all the psyops? The devil always going to spin it as a psyop. Okay, but whether they're authentic, all right, whether these things are staged, okay, at the end of the day, it's about what these devils try to implement in the aftermath. Okay, and that's what we keep up with, but they know, all right, to implement certain things, they need to create, okay, a crisis. They need to create a problem so they can bring out their solution. So prepare for uptick. Going back to New America, we know these devils will catch bodies. They will, we go into an MK Ultra, okay, to where they have these, these sleeper cells that are activated by particular things, and they go haywire, and they really go out there and catch bodies. Okay, and we know Esau don't mind catching bodies for the agenda. There's light work. Okay, so prepare for uptick in this as well, in violence. Okay, so he can present technology as peace and safety. Okay, so this happened in Rhode Island at the university. Okay, active shooters. Okay, 2 dead confirmed. Okay, so prepare for an uptick in this. So let's play this some more.
we'll be sure to let you know what we learn about this person of interest as new details emerge throughout the morning.
We are following another deadly mass shooting, this one in Australia, where police say 2 gunmen opened fire on Sydney's famous Bondi Beach, killing at least 11 people. One of the suspects also is dead. Another is in custody. NBC's Raf Sanchez is following the latest developments for us. Raf, what more can you tell us?
Well, Willie, Australian authorities are calling this a terrorist attack targeting the Jewish community as it was celebrating the first night of Hanukkah. Here's what we know is
right on cue. Right on cue. The tiny tops. Okay. The forever victims. You see? Then it was supposedly on their during their Hanukkah, which Spirit has us in, Hanukkah this week. All right, the Feast of Dedication. Okay. So supposedly there started, a few days later. Okay. And this is what you have. And whether this is staged or not, all right, you gotta look at everything as a sign from Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. The Lord about to bust this shit up, man. Because these small hats, okay, ever since they've, been claiming to be us. They've been at war. You see, they've been at the center of chaos, man. Okay, but ultimately the Lord about to bust this up, man. All right, these imposters. Okay, but yeah, man. But we know how they're gonna spin this. This is a great opportunity for them to be the victim. And see, when they get to play the victim, okay, then you can really see some changes, and you really can see a response from these devils, man. Okay. So anytime they can push anti-Semitism, okay, these governments of the world are showing you that the world is a stage, because these same governments are condemning those small hats for, what they're doing in Palestine, but then they have laws to where you can't say nothing about them. Okay, you as a citizen to be punished for saying anything about them. Okay, so they gonna be in the mix somewhere, these small hats, with all these things that's going on. So you have 12 killed, in this mass shooting in Australia. Okay, and they're saying that it was motivated by anti-Semitism, man. Okay, so we know they're gonna spin that. You see.
You said 2 gunmen opened fire with long guns. There are at least 11 people killed, including one of the shooters. The second gunman is in custody in critical condition, and authorities are now investigating whether a third individual was potentially involved. Now, amid the horror, it was a little difficult to watch, but I want to show it to you in just a second here. You see, if we have that video, you see the man in white there running up and tackling that suspected gunman. There is a struggle, and you can see he appears to wrestle what looks like a shotgun out of that man's hands. Now, the individual in white has not at this point been identified, but local leaders are hailing what they say were extraordinary acts of personal courage by people who just jumped in at the scene. It is very likely that that man saved some lives by appearing to disarm that gunman. We know that at least 29 people were taken to hospital. Among them are 2 police officers. Authorities are saying police were on the scene and engaging in a gun battle with the.
Now, this lets me know that, this was orchestrated. Now, did people really get unalive? Of course. Okay. But there's always something in there to let you know this is orchestrated. So I'm looking at this chain of events. Okay. Now, hold on, let's go back. So this random guy, he wrestles, okay, this long ass gun from this guy. Okay, you just see he just casually walks up on him. He take the gun. Okay.
Ordinary acts of personal courage by people who just jumped in at the scene's hands. Now, the individual in that video, you see the man in white there running up and tackling that suspected gunman. There is a struggle, and you can see to wrestle what looks like a shotgun out of that man's hands. Now, the individual in white has not at this point been identified, but local leaders are hailing what they say were extraordinary acts of personal courage by people who just
watch this guy, this old man. He comes up and just throws a rock. I guess he throws something at the guy. Okay, but he just casually took the gun from him. Okay, he gets some type of signal, and then you're gonna see this guy pop up and just throw, grandpa pop up and just throw something at him. But I'm gonna show you what, was suspicious to me, So let's play this.
Jumped in at the scene. It is very likely that that man saved some lives by appearing to disarm that gunman. We know that at least 29 people were taken to hospital. Among them are 2 police officers. Authorities are saying police were on the scene and engaging.
Now, this is supposed to be a police officer, and he's supposed to be in the shootout with the gunman. But the gunman was right down the steps wrestling with random guy, and the gunman is just walking off. Okay, but this is supposed to be a police officer, and they're just in this shootout. You know, so with this devil, he's all over the place. Okay, and we'll see, what he's going to suggest as a solution. That's the main thing to watch for. Okay, but it's always some funny business. Okay, with this nigga and these events. Okay, because if people are not crashing out fast enough, Esau will activate. Okay, these sleeper cells and these agents. All right, to get the party started. Okay, so let's let this play some more.
In a gun battle with these shooters within just minutes. Police are also saying that they found a car linked to the killed gunman, which does appear to contain improvised explosive devices. Now, the bomb squad there in Sydney is probing that vehicle. They are looking for more clues. They are looking for more details about the motives. And Willie, a massive police investigation is now underway, but we can already say at this point that this is one of the worst gun massacres in Australian history.
This should scare the hell out of you. The Trump administration has quietly ordered U.S. airports to hand over the name of every single passenger to ICE. Not suspects, not people with warrants, everyone. The TSA is now feeding ICE passenger lists multiple times a week, and ICE is cross-checking those names against deportation databases. Meaning if you fly, your name is scanned. If ICE thinks you might be deportable, the airport becomes the trap. This started in March. No public announcement, no vote, no warning. And they're already using it. A 19-year-old freshman was arrested at Boston Logan Airport and deported to Honduras. She was brought to the U.S. when she was 7. She didn't know she was deportable. Her family didn't know. She found out at the airport. Another woman was arrested in Salt Lake City the exact same way. This isn't about terrorists. This isn't about violent crime. This is mass surveillance of travelers repurposed for immigration enforcement. And here's the part that should really get you. TSA was never supposed to be involved in immigration enforcement. Ever. That line just disappeared. DHS says this is about stopping undocumented people from flying unless it's out of the country. So let's be clear. They turned airports into ICE checkpoints. They turned boarding passes into screening tools for deportation, and they did it without your consent. If the government can quietly turn flight data into a deportation dragnet, ask yourself what database is next. Because once everyone's name becomes fair game, no one's privacy is safe.
This morning, 100,000 residents under evacuation warnings in Washington.
So yeah, they're turning airports to checkpoints. Okay, because the goal is a totalitarian police state. Okay, governed by AI. You see? And then they say this term deportable. Well, guess what? If you're an Israelite, you're deportable by default. Okay. So now you see, okay, these devils, really, use this ICE, okay, as a way to transition to a police state. Okay, and these rights, that you people keep talking about, because he said, well, TSA was never supposed to be a part of immigration, all right, or deportation enforcement. Well, it's going to be a lot of lines that's crossed, all right? Really ain't no lines, okay? These devils are, you see, they're creating a whole new system. So anything of the old world, all right, is subject to be dismantled. Okay, any old laws and restrictions that was on government and law enforcement and military, well, those things are subjugated to change because everything is going towards a new way. Okay, so now they're turning airports into checkpoints. Okay, this is how everything is going in 2026. Going into 2026, you see the type of momentum, and the energy and the time that this devil is on, man. Okay? And then you have, your natural disasters. Okay, let's play this.
Because of catastrophic flooding. More than a foot of rain bringing multiple rivers to historic levels.
This is unlike anything we've seen in a long, long time. I think it's surpassed every flooding record we've had.
Neighborhoods inundated with several feet of water. Residents racing to sandbag areas to save their properties.
We're barely keeping up with it.
Eastside Fire and Rescue crew saving 2 drivers using a Navy chopper. One of them clinging onto a tree. 68-year-old William Elliott was rescued by fire officials after he had to evacuate his flooded home.
That's one of the hardest things I've had to do. Just pack a couple of backpacks and not knowing what you're going to find when you get back.
The Coast Guard rescued these 4 people after rising waters forced the family into their attic and out onto the roof. And the Kings County Sheriff's Office rescued this man Wednesday, stranded on top of his car, surrounded by rushing water.
Overseas now tonight, 2 U.S. Army soldiers and an American civilian serving as an interpreter are dead, killed in Syria after a lone gunman ambushed their patrol. No group has claimed responsibility, but President Trump blamed ISIS. It happened as the president was headed to attend the Army-Navy game in Baltimore, Maryland. CBS's Willie James Enman is at the White House with more on that. Willie.
Jerika, good evening to you. Before leaving for the Army-Navy game today, President Trump paid tribute to the 3 Americans killed in Syria. He also says the U.S. will respond.
There was an ambush, terrible. We also have 3 wounded. They seem to be doing pretty well. But we mourn the loss. These are 3 great people. And it's just a terrible thing.
The Pentagon said a lone gunman killed 2 U.S. soldiers and a U.S. civilian who was working as an interpreter during a joint patrol between U.S. and Syrian forces. 3 service members were also wounded. The attack took place in Palmyra. The gunman is believed to be an ISIS operative who infiltrated a local security force. He was killed after forces engaged. Last month, Syria joined the international coalition to fight against ISIS. ISIS in Syria was defeated in 2019, but sleeper cells of the group still carry out deadly attacks within the country. President Trump says the U.S. will strike back.
The will and U.S. borders are attacked again.
You're going to be seeing. We will retaliate.
Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell says the soldiers were on a mission to support counter-ISIS and counter-terrorism operations. Today in Baltimore, President Trump attended the annual Army-Navy football game. Secretary Pete Hegseth honored the fallen Americans during the game.
We honor them by having their back, and this game demonstrates to the country and reminds the country of how special what they do is.
Jerika, the U.S. military has hundreds of troops based in Syria as part of a coalition to fight and counter ISIS.
Devil just got a lot going on, man. And then dealing with that situation with ISIS, which ISIS, was created by the CIA and Mossad, which is the intelligence agency of the small hats in America. They create these groups, ISIS and Al Qaeda, all right, and make them the boogeyman, to justify military intervention in certain regions. So they want to, invade a certain country. Well, they'll just prop up ISIS in their country, and that gives them a reason to invade. And then they say ISIS was defeated in 2019, and that was due to Russia and Iran. And that's who ran ISIS out of there, in Syria. And now, they're so-called re-emerging, because there's no telling what this devil plans to do in his next move over there. So we just watching, man. It's a lot he's setting up for. We watching this nigga, man. We'll see how he move based on these events, that has happened. Because the real, the real deal, what you really want to pay attention to is how these devils respond to these situations. But we know, that going into 2026, man, it's gonna be off the chain, you know, because the devil, okay, he know he had but a short time, all right, and the Lord is ready to end this man's rulership, okay. The Lord is ready to put an end to the reign of the wicked, man. The devil is fulfilling everything that, you know, he was supposed to fulfill the wickedness as he gets closer to, you know, the sea hip. Okay. That's a sign that he's getting close to fulfilling everything that he needs to fulfill in wickedness before he's removed, man. So let's read this in Ezekiel 7:5. It said, thus said the Lord power, a disaster is coming, one so destructive and injurious, all right, so sudden and violent, okay, that it stands alone. A unique disaster look is coming, you know. So this is a time that's going to stand alone of how bad it's going to be, okay, and the stage is being set, okay, whether it's, you know, people are impoverished, okay, mass shootings on the rise, okay, you have you know, the airports turning into checkpoints, you know, more, you know, of the police state being implemented, okay. So all the recipes are being thrown in the pot, okay, for the worst time ever. Verse 6, it says, an end is coming. The end has come. It has awakened against you. You see, the end has awakened against you. You see, the end of Esau's rulership, okay, which is going to be riddled, okay, in violence, man, in suffering. You see, in judgment, you know. So the Lord has awakened the end, and it's against Esau. Okay, and anyone else that trusts in this system, the end is waking up to be against them. Okay, we're getting closer to that appointed time. All right, it said it has wakened against you. Look, all right, it has come. You see, so the Lord, all right, as the scriptures say, has awakened. You see, the end against this place, man. So let's go from there. Got one more I want to get. I think that's in the book of let's get this in the book of 2nd Ezra. Okay. So prepare for 2026 to be action packed. Okay. Because they're going out. And this year ain't over with. You still got, you know, 15 days, you know, 2 weeks, you know, right there, 2 weeks, you know, left in this month, man. Okay, it can go out with a bang. So this 2nd Ezra 16 and 37 said, behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compares her womb, which pains when the child cometh, they slack not a moment. Okay, so prepare for things to get more intense and more frequent. Okay, and be circumspect. Okay, be circumspect. When you're out, when you're moving around, be circumspect. You know, because this is a society that's on edge. Okay, put them prayers up, you know, before you leave the house. You know, pray for the body, pray for the believers. Okay, in these times, as Yahushua prayed, you know, for us, you know, St. John the 17th chapter, Yahushua prayed for us, man. Not that we be removed from the world, but what be protected from the evils. You see, in St. John the 17th chapter. Okay, because like we still, you know, have to go through our trying, you know, before we're redeemed. Okay, so we're going to see these things increase. Okay, and we're going to be in the midst of it. So this is why I said this is the time to be circumspect, man, to be strategic how you move, man. Peeping. You know, it says, even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. O my people, hear my word, make you ready to the battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. Okay? So we come to the time where sorrows is going to be on every side. Because these same people that's in these RVs, guess what? They cannot just deal with the uptick in violence. See, right now they might be dealing, you know, people might be dealing with one thing, two things, but there's going to be 10 things at a time. You know, it's going to be sorrows on every side. You see? So this is where we at. All right, and we're going to see, you know, a lot more. Okay, we're going to see a lot more activity when it comes to prophecy, man. You know, so that was the point. You know, Lord will, you know, you brothers, all right, and you sisters was edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the whole collective. Shalom.